Welcome to the Primal Show with today's guest, Jason Poston. Is that how you pronounce your last name, Jason?
Poston. My friends call me Postman, whatever you want to call me.
And co-host Gary. Today we're going to be talking with Jason about how he stays fit and what he recommends to his clients to get in incredible shape. If anybody has the chance to go on his Instagram page, it's filled with his amazing meals, and his clients are getting incredible results. He is going to be competing in the Mr. Olympia, and we wanted to learn a little bit more about what you're doing in order to get in shape.
There you go.
That's amazing. Tell us, Jason, what are you doing right now to compete? How far away are you from getting into the Mr. Olympia contest? How many weeks out are you?
So, the show is September 19th. And so currently, actually, let's see, today's Friday. I'm exactly 6 weeks out. And normally you'll see a lot of competitors preparing 12 weeks. Some of the big heavyweight bodybuilders, they're prepping all year. Some of the females with slower metabolisms, they'll start dieting earlier. I'm very lucky, and I attribute it a lot to, a little bit of genetics. My parents were both lean, but also just my diet and my lifestyle. I kind of just started dieting last week, and so it's a benefit when it comes to showtime because I'm a lot more rested and I haven't withered and beaten down my body as much. So 6 weeks out, and very excited this year. They're actually, NBC is going to be airing and filming the whole show, and then they'll film it, and it seems like they're gonna have 2 episodes. Well, they'll show the Olympia on 2 different days a few weeks later, right there on NBC. So man, that fires you up right there.
That's awesome. Can you tell? So you're 6 weeks out right now. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing in order to begin that massive cutting phase? I mean, I would assume you're in the cutting phase right now. What can you tell us? Kind of walk us through maybe what your diet's like, and then also keep in mind, everybody, that Jason is a diabetic. You're type 1.
Yeah, type 1 diabetic.
So are you controlling your diabetes through your food, or how do you kind of regulate it? I mean, obviously you watch the amount of carbs you take in to not have too much of a spike. But can you tell us what you're eating right now, and also what you're doing in order to get into that cutting phase?
Yeah. So rule number 1 when you're trying to reduce body fat is you want to keep your insulin response stable and your insulin spikes low. So how you do that is a low carb diet. Okay. There is ways of cutting with higher carbs, and you have all these different guru diets nowadays, but the fastest, most consistent way for me to lose weight right now is to create insulin sensitivity. So I have to inject my insulin every time I eat. You guys, your pancreas is producing insulin every time you eat and when your blood sugar starts to rise. So the only difference is I have to bring in insulin from outside medicine. You guys, the average person's pancreas is still working. So how I do that is by, especially in the mornings, starting off with a low-carb breakfast. And, I've been doing lots of egg whites. I'm a big believer in organic food, raw, natural, untouched, unaltered by man. And so probably 8 to 10 egg whites, a lot of protein. When you're on a low-carb diet, I recommend increasing protein intake because there is a percentage of your protein that's going to be utilized for energy, okay? And especially as a type 1 diabetic, we estimate about 30% of my protein is actually being used as glycogen and energy. So big protein breakfast, lots of vegetables. And then if I'm in a huge hurry, I will use, protein powders, protein shakes. Recently I was been turned on to the Paleo Pure. And so I like the egg white protein mixed with some Greek yogurt. And then I got to flavor it up. I got a sweet tooth, man. So, I got to add PB2 or some type of healthy fat, coconut oil, stevia, whatever can sweeten it up a little bit when I do shakes or the yogurt. So, but the main thing right now is just lower carb, especially in the morning, unless you have a big leg day or a big cross training day. So that's the only time I would recommend. But every single meal, low carbs, I'm doing 25 to 50 grams of carbs a day, some days 0. But where I replace that is with a lot of fiber and a lot of healthy fats.
I notice on your Instagram page you typically do a lot of gluten-free. Are you gluten-free as well? Do you kind of try to stay mainly gluten-free?
Yeah. I actually haven't really spoke about this publicly, but last year I started having some issues with my intestines and some digestion. It's real. This is real life stuff that happens from gluten sometimes. I had bloody bowels and stuff like that. I know it's gross, sorry, but it's true. This type of stuff happens. And it happened in the off season when I was overdoing my carbs. I wasn't doing crazy amount of carbs, but what I noticed was I was doing a lot of glutinous products. So, as soon as I took that away, everything settled. All my issues, all my symptoms, they all subsided. And, I can't say that's going to happen for everyone, but so I do have a small allergic reaction to gluten. And man, I just process food so much quicker when it's gluten-free, whether it's the gluten or whether it's, just food that's just raw from the earth, my stomach definitely absorbs and I'm able to grow and keep muscle on better.
Well, that's pretty common in general. I think most of the American population has an issue with gluten. And I always tell people it's not gluten in of itself because there's gluten in a lot of food items as far as that's in nature, obviously through grains that we would eat here and there, depending on, your ethnic or racial background, where you lived in the world. The ratios would be different, but it's the amount of gluten that we're pumping into our bodies because everything, ketchup, salad dressing, you name it, has gluten in it now because they use it as a thickening agent. And so, yeah, it's just we're exposed and bombarded by it all the time. With that, is there a difference? I want to try and talk about the macronutrient ratio as far as off-season before you're coming into a competition. What are the ratio differences between your carbohydrates, protein, and fat as opposed to when you're leaning down? Do you have a formula? Because I know a lot of bodybuilders do.
Yeah, I really do. I'm not when I first started competing, I was very regimented. It was written down. I had a log. It was also because of the disease as well. I mean, all my doctors wanted feedback. I was like a walking lab rat. They want to know, how do you stay this? How do you do it? Because I've come to understand there's just not a lot of people that have the body composition I do, but I also have come to believe they can do it. It's just a matter of my system and the program and just eating and living the way I do. But so right now it's 50 grams of carbs a day. Okay. But Gary, I'll change that if my blood sugar tends to be high. So I'll drop it down. Like if there's blood sugar floating around in my blood, well, then I'm not going to go and dose more insulin to help bring that down, which is called a correction, and then influx more carbs in. So I'm basing that on my blood sugar levels every day, but 9 times out of 10, it's 50 grams of carbs before my workout, and I really like a sweet potato, and that's typically it every single day right now, is sweet potato. So it's 50 grams of carbs a day, 50 grams of protein every single meal, and then I try to get anywhere from 8 to 16 grams of fiber every single meal. Except for post-workout. That's usually where I'll just go.
Absorption, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Slowing it down, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I come from old days. Just to give you a hint, I grew up, Arnold Schwarzenegger was still competing when I was growing up. I know I met Sean Ray back in the day when he was huge. So I come from kind of a bodybuilding background as far as I was into athletics for football, baseball, basketball, and I actually did some bodybuilding back in the day in the military when they had teams. So yeah, I'm kind of pretty familiar with the diet, but I'm just curious how it changes with the type 1 diabetic, and it's a lot different now. We loaded with a lot more carbs back then, especially off season, and that's why I was curious to see what your levels are. But I don't think your levels
work for you.
Different. Yeah.
How did your results go by loading extra carbs?
Just bloated like a whale. I mean, literally everyone in the off season and back in the day, some of the bodybuilders at the gym I was at, some of the professionals would come in and you couldn't even recognize them. They would literally bloat up 100 pounds. They would add 75 to 100 pounds in the off season and then try and lean it all back down, and they were massive. They just looked like bowling balls when they came in. You couldn't believe they would lose that much weight in order to compete.
And that puts so much strain on all the organs and the heart, and also your mind. I mean, having to cut and take away calories like that. I mean, it's changed a lot. I know a lot of my bigger bodybuilder friends are staying leaner, and I think there's a lot of influence that I have on them too from staying lean, and they see me, I'm still growing into my shows. I'm still gaining a few pounds every year, the same amount as if I were to go and load a whole bunch of carbs. But, the thing is with bodybuilders and physique and all these divisions, you need to stay lean. You need to look good because you never know when a company might call you and say, hey, can you do this shoot? Well, there's really no purpose or need. It's like, well, I'm actually in off season. I'm bulking right now. Well, there actually is no point in that anymore as far as I'm concerned. So you might as well stay, lean, gain some body fat in order to, have your joints and ligaments healthy and your brain functioning better. But they're really, the old school tricks of loading carbs and gaining a ton of fat. It's just, it's definitely not my style.
Well, the thing was, they were really unhealthy. A lot of these guys ended up having heart attacks, strokes. They had some serious health issues, and it was interesting to see the magazines, the way they worked back then, is they would only shoot during their lean downs. So you would only see them at competition, and as they're leaning down, and you'd see these photos recycled throughout the year until a competition came back again and they could do photo ops. Because, you'd see them and there's no way no one's taking any pictures of them. I mean, they were massive.
Yeah. Jason, what do you think about a ketogenic kind of diet, which a lot of people are kind of jumping on the bandwagon and kind of mixing that with a paleo kind of diet where you're constantly in a state of burning fat as energy?
Yeah, man, I'm a big believer. I've tried it. I pretty much live it, especially in a few weeks. I mean, if I need to, I will go completely zero carb. I'll stay full. I'll have tons of energy for my workouts. Not as much if I eat a whole bunch of Pop-Tarts before my workout. Obviously, that's a temporary surge of energy, but there is the drawbacks of doing that. So, I first studied and read a bodybuilder called Dave Palumbo. And Dave knows that I used to, read all his articles and read his books on ketogenic dieting because I couldn't understand how this massive bodybuilder was like 250 pounds, shredded, and yet he was zero carb. I'm like, what is this ketogenic diet all about? So I actually tried it before diabetes. I tried it and, I wasn't educated enough. And so I love the ketogenic diet. I just have to recommend educate yourself on the proper steps to do it. Educate yourself on many, many healthy fats so that you understand the benefits, because that's what I find most is when people, I tried a ketogenic diet, I got flat and I had no energy. Well, you probably didn't research your potential on how many fats you could intake. When I'm keto, I can eat like 30 to 40 grams of fat each meal. It's awesome. And so
you have to be able to utilize it. That you have to be, your body has to be able to use that fat as energy, and if you're a sugar burner, you're not going to be able to access and be able to synthesize that fat and be able to metabolize it the same way that someone who's fat adapted. It's a completely different process. So and to give you an instance of how long that's been around, when it was 1994, I want to say, and that was the coach of the bodybuilding team for the military back then in Pensacola, Florida. He was one of the main competitors was doing a ketogenic diet, and I had no clue what it was. I mean, I didn't understand any of the concepts, and I'm all, this guy's eating bacon, and he's eating all this fat and butter, and the dude was just ripped, and it still didn't click in my brain, so I'd go out and eat 3 bagels and, the usual.
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun to see what you can get away with. Unfortunately, 6 weeks out, I can't gamble. But I have gambled. I gambled earlier this year. I was eating bacon. I was eating the So Delicious low sugar coconut ice cream.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't even post a lot of this. I'm not public about it because I don't want to rub it in other people's faces. And also, I don't want to give away a lot of my tricks. So, but at one point, it's time to start stepping out and realize the potential of promoting my diet, regardless of if other competitors and are able to catch on and shred up more. But you can get away with some crazy stuff. And so, I definitely recommend following guys like Gary, myself, Heath, other ketogenic experts and people, nutritionists, and just see what you can get away with and see the benefits, because you think and you react and everything's so much better. Life is overall just more energetic on a keto diet, but you just have to do it right.
Yeah, that's very key. With that, is there very many bodybuilders following a ketogenic or paleo primal diet?
I would say, okay, so, I'm in the physique division, which still is bodybuilding. When we're building our body, we just pose different. We don't get to squeeze. It's more of, you're creating that aesthetic, classic bodybuilding look out there.
Yeah, it's more athletic. I always called it more of an athletic, because the big guys don't look athletic.
Yeah. We have our looks and they have their look, and it's right now it's a fun little battle because they like to knock us and stuff, but I know I'm working hard. But yeah, I don't see a lot of bodybuilders. I know, for instance, like the past Mr. Olympia, 8-time winner, Ronnie Coleman, he would often drop carbs going into his show for 6 weeks and have 0 carbs just to get that conditioning. That if anyone knows who Ronnie Coleman is, he was extremely conditioned and the largest man on earth. But then again, he would have extremely high carb days all off season. So he took that route, but there's not a lot of bodybuilders that explore the low carb life. I have a teammate, Juan Morel, and he's known for his epic Sunday cheat days. Juan eats 20 to 30,000 calories every Sunday.
Oh my God.
Ice cream. The YouTube video has gone viral. Our athlete videos usually have like maybe 5, 6. I think one of mine got 10,000 views. He's up in like a few weeks. It's like at 80,000 views. It's crazy. I don't know what to say about it other than he's just a genetic freak. But he's the example. Yeah, bodybuilders are still doing a lot of carbs. More is better. But I do have a few friends that are bodybuilders, and they're definitely not. They're not doing the same. More is better. They're actually eating less food and growing, the healthier way nowadays. So
yeah, that cyclical carb loading's been around a long time. There's so many theories behind it. Like I said, I grew up with bodybuilding, so and more, I guess, traditional sports. So I'm pretty familiar with some of the cycling that they used to do, and it was massive carb loading. It would go down to 0 carbs, and then all of a sudden for 3 days they'd eat as many carbs as they could get. And it went with their training cycle. People understand that if you're into bodybuilding or physique contests, you basically are a biochemist. You have to know your body inside and out. And I've never seen some of the most intelligent people on how the body works are in the bodybuilding field. And with that, I think it's nice if you could relate. As far as I get a lot of pushback in some of the people who go, well, what does bodybuilding or physique kind of mentality have to do with, as far as the lifting, do with me? I'm just an everyday person, the people I work with, and I'm showing them shoulder press, bench press with dumbbells, and I'm giving them what I call the old Arnold principles of lifting. It was basic movements with some compound movements mixed in, and they go, why am I lifting like this? I go, because this is how you would lift in nature, believe it or not. A squat is in nature. I don't load them up, with a barbell or nothing. I don't do that, but as far as gorilla squats, which is grabbing a dumbbell between your legs and doing a squat that way, and shoulder press, bench press, curls. They don't even understand curls. I go, well, you'd hold a baby and you'd hold items. That's a curl. You're carrying logs. That is actually a curl. Yeah, and how do you really? Yeah, and I always try and relate that to people on how the traditional exercises actually are part of a normal lifestyle as far as what you would do in every day.
I agree. Yeah, we talk about it all the time. The fitness models, people in the industry, my friends who are supplement company owners, everyone in the industry who's been here for a while agrees they got it right. Back in the Arnold days, I just watched Pumping Iron the other day, so that's why I'm talking about this. I have
it on VHS still.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. I hope that one day that camaraderie, we've got it in physique. But in the bodybuilding, I hope we see that camaraderie in that. I mean, just lying around on the beach, talking about their their next workout and taking naps on Venice Beach. I mean, that was great. But, back to what you were saying, the basic fundamentals of building your body is something you never want to lose. I mean, you can go into, the cross training and the CrossFit, and you can go into the functional core training and all these different exercises that have been made up over the years. But if you just go back to the old Icarian equipment, the old basic, encyclopedia of bodybuilding, that's something you build your body on that. And then you can you can go other spokes away from the main wheel with the functional training, but just don't forget what the core of your body needs,
Well, yeah, and that's interesting. The Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, I had the first version, and then someone stole it way back in the day, and I have the newer version that's like 10 years old, 15 years old. And it gives you the basic exercises that I tell people, these are the core exercises. These are the exercises that you would mimic if you were living in the wild with a loincloth. I mean, these are pull-up. You'd have to pull yourself up a tree. You'd have to shoulder press to lift things over your head, to put on a roof on your structure, everything. And it's how you put them all together, and people just don't get that. They think bodybuilding's nothing but massive guys pushing mass amounts of weight, and there's no real life way to transition that in. And I go, absolutely not. These guys got it far better than most of the new athletic, I call, things that are out there, the crazy training regimens. I just go, what are you doing? That's just a waste of time.
Yeah. No, it's very basic, and I mean, I still use just the traditional movements. Like the deadlift, for instance. People they pick up stuff every day, all day, and then like my dad the other day, he's like, I can't do deadlifts anymore. I'm like, oh, so you can't pick up stuff off the ground? And what's funny is my dad's in great shape. He played sports like 5 days a week up until like 5 years ago. He's 55, 56. So, don't forget those fundamentals. And when you start saying, oh, I can't do this anymore, I can't do that, now just figure out why you can't do it. Because if it's an exercise such as a squat, well, maybe like you said, you don't need to put a barbell on your back, but you still should be practicing sitting down on a bench and standing up. And, keeping those joints and ligaments interacting with each other, with the muscles, never neglect.
Yeah, and that's how I tell people too. You don't have to load it up with weight. It's just you have to use the movement because it's a natural movement. And you're young. You'll understand when you get older that we say we can't do stuff all the time. It's just a great excuse. That way I don't have to pick something off the ground that's heavy for someone else. I just say, I can't do that anymore.
That's what my dad's doing.
Yeah, just get smarter.
Jason, there's a lot of people probably watching that may look at your Facebook page and you and your physique. And obviously as a guy, I think we're all envious of the people that have like six packs, And in that same tone, what could you recommend for people that are really looking to shed abdominal fat, like from a diet and maybe exercise and a supplement point of view? Like what could you maybe pass on to people that would help them in overcoming that abdominal fat, so that they could start to see their abs?
A lot of people, I get the basic questions like this all the time. I think rule number one, in everyone's different, but if I could give one piece of advice, get up in the morning and get active. Before we came on your show, I simply walked to my favorite coffee shop. That's my morning cardio. Sometimes it's obviously a little bit heavier. I'll run stairs, but 5 days out of the week, I'm simply just walking every morning on an empty stomach. Just get up, be active, burn some blood sugar, let the fat burning start to kickstart for the day, raise your metabolism. And then another thing you can do to supplement that is by adding caffeine. So I've got my coffee here, and, I like a big kick. So I've got Americano. I think there's 3 or 4 shots of espresso. So, everyone has their tolerance, and, but I kickstart the morning with caffeine. I like it from a natural source and cardio. And then that way, it gets your mind going, you get your blood flowing, and, don't overdo it if you're on an empty stomach. There's no need to run and do all sorts of, high heart rate activities, you've got to be advanced in your macros and, knowing your food a little bit better before you start doing that. Just get up, be active, and then have a lean, low carb, healthy fat breakfast. And then you've just started the day with a huge momentum. So right there will impact your life drastically. Keeping the carbs, I'd say for women, maybe not the carbs, I'm sorry, the fat. Keeping the fat like 10 to 15 grams of fat in the morning, 20 to 30, it depends on your body weight, but 20 to 30 grams of protein, lots of dark leafy vegetables, but it's simple like that. And then you're going to feel more energy. You probably should feel your metabolism on fire. You're going to be like, I'm hungry. If you're hungry, that's good. Your body is eating up the stored fat. So and then 3 hours later, have another lean protein, low carb, vegetable meal, and the same thing. And by that time, you might be ready for some carbs if you're going to go to the gym later and lift some weights. I definitely recommend weights. I don't care if you're my grandma's age and you're 80, or if you're 14 years old and you're just getting started. I definitely promote lifting weights. Lifting weights is cardio. The definition of cardio is just the elevation of heart rate. So, I could sit here and flap my hands like this and clap all day, while we're on video and my heart rate is elevated. That's cardio. So why not get out there, lift weights, increase dense muscle tissue, increase your metabolism, and overall just have a stronger, bone and joint structure, and also get the cardio out of weights as well.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, we're pretty close on our beliefs there, Jason. I've been preaching this for a long time, and it's the simple phrase of less is more. I mean, people overcomplicate this so much, and I use walking with a lot of my clients too, and I say the same thing. I go, just go walk. Take a 30-minute walk at lunch, or every night take the dog and the kids and get out and walk for 45 minutes. Yeah. That's all it takes, and they just can't believe that that's what helps them get healthier and get their metabolism going. And walking is something we have completely lost. They think they got to go out there and do wind sprints right out of the go, and they're 55, 60 pounds overweight. They haven't worked out in, years. And they think they're going to go out there and do high-intensity interval training with, the trainer who just got his certificate and was working at the car wash 3 weeks earlier. Yeah. And, they end up blowing a knee out. I've watched it. I've literally watched clients, other guys train people, and watch them get injured as I'm watching them. Yeah. And catastrophic injuries. I mean, life-altering. You can see they're just blown a joint completely out. And you're like, if he would have just got up and went and walked for 30 minutes, we could have avoided this whole thing.
Yeah. It's like your motorcycle. I got a motorcycle in the garage. I ride it every day or most days. But if I let that motorcycle sit there for a year, would I just go in a year from now, go crank it up and just haul butt down the street? No, and that's not what you do with your spine and your knees when it comes to running. It's huge. I get sad when I go to the lake right down the street and I see overweight people running. It's because I know that they're just damaging the joint. They need to get rid of that weight, and they need to. Running is athletic. You need to learn how to run properly, and when your body's healthy as well. So.
Yeah, we just had a show the other day talking about a lot of people that are overweight or not. They haven't even reached their own optimal weight or look, and yet they're dispensing advice on how to lose weight. You probably see that a lot, people dispensing weight loss, and yet they're heavy themselves. We think that there's, a lot of people that are giving just poor advice before they should. So do you see that at all in your industry?
Absolutely. And it's very frustrating because it's such a wholesome, organic lifestyle, and we're all trying to do great things. We're trying to help people. But then you see people that shouldn't be giving advice and shouldn't be doing that, and so how do you tell them, hey, you're giving bad advice? But, so it's not my job. So I've got an idea, and this is, I'll release my idea there because I want somebody to do it, and somebody to do it respectfully. I want a social media police website, where people are lifted up for being great trainers. It doesn't matter who it is. Like, hey, so for instance, say Gary started the website, social media police or whatever, or fitnessmediapolice.com. lifting up the trainer he sees in his local area. He's like, man, this guy has like 15 transformations in the last. I've seen all his clients in great shape, great form. I hear great feedback. You know, let's lift him up on the page. You know, he deserves it. And then you got the other guy who's Heath, the bad Heath, and he's been training his clients through CrossFit, and they just started, last week, and he's already got them doing snatches and hang cleans, and he's got them running around the block, and he's staring at his cell phone the whole time and just saying, yeah, oh, good form, yeah. And they're killing, they're just killing their low back and totally, just damaging their life. But bad Heath trainer won't even hear anything about it because they're going to be done training, and then he's on to the next person teaching them bad habits. Those are the type of people. And then also, the bad nutritionists out there who are just giving, copycat or cookie cutter diets, sending hundreds of the same diets out to the same girls out there, damaging their metabolisms, and then in the worst case scenario, even telling them to take, pharmaceutical drugs in order to get results. I want to see a social media police website blasting those people as well. So
we'd crash it in one day because there's so many fitness and nutrition experts, or think they are. We would never get anything done. We'd have to hire an entire military force to go out there and run the thing. Because it's just, that's the sad thing I find today too is, and I know people in our genre in the industry get a little frustrated with me, and I get frustrated with them. And my attitude is you can't give advice before you're an expert. And I don't know how you can be an expert when you're 23 and you just got out of college and you're out of shape and you're trying to tell it, and they go, you're just picking on the young people. And I go, no, I'm an older guy, and I had to spend decades learning this before I even was comfortable with the word expert. Yeah. And I just think if you're interested in it, you should learn it from the people who know it. Get an internship, work at a gym, a really well-respected gym or personal trainer who's been out there a long time. Just don't jump out and read a couple books and get a couple magazines, get this $95 certificate and say, hey, come here, I'm going to do my new training regimen out in the park and let's go. And I don't know anything of what I'm doing and let's go, I'll get injured. And that's what I look at it as. Is they're just dangerous. And I'm not here to rip on people, and I'm sure you're not either, Jason. I just tell them with anything. I was in law enforcement in the military for 2 decades, and I wasn't comfortable being called an expert in that until I was probably well into 10 years into my career. Because I was comfortable with it then. I kind of knew what I was doing. But did I know everything? Absolutely not. I still don't know everything in health. I would never claim that.
It's a general concern for other people. It's integrity. I think I started training when I was 21, and I was scared to do nutrition or to help populations that I wasn't an expert in. I just stuck with the general population, housewives, CEOs or the blue collar workers, and I just wanted to help get them healthy. Well, then, I went and I got a performance enhancement specialist certification. I started helping athletes. All my friends were college athletes. I was like, well, let me help you turn to the pro. So I added more and more at a time. I didn't just take on people, hey, okay, so you want to compete in a bodybuilding show? Yeah, I'll train you. I'll do your diet. Come on, I need the money. That's where the integrity has to fall in. Yeah. And there actually is a benefit in passing on someone and, telling people, no, I don't have the answer to that. But let's research it together. Let's find someone who can help you, and I'll help you with what I know, But yeah, I totally agree there that don't try to take on everyone. Don't try to be the jack of all trades when you really are not that.
Or write a book. That seems to be the new trend. I don't know anything, but I'm going to write a book about everything I really don't know, and that's dangerous. And, that's a good idea. I would really like to see if we could ever figure out how to do it. It'd be like an Angie's List of health.
Ads above it. Every company would want to put, if this site is only going to promote the real, health advocates out there, well, then we want to promote our product. I think ads, and actually I talked to a friend of mine, Liz Gaspari, her and her husband owned Gaspari Nutrition, and she was all about it. And so, You know, the other side that you can compare it to, which I hate to even mention this stupid website because it's just god awful, is thedirty.com, where they blast club rats and, you know, ravers and just people in the party atmosphere. They kind of just really just make fun of people. But this would be more with a positive influence. We're trying to lift up the people who are helping change the world through fitness and health and nutrition. And then we're also trying to, hey, police, just like the government polices the rule breakers, we want to police the rule breakers too.
Yeah, like a Yelp of trainers where you can book them online, you can see their reviews, you can see their transformations. I'm with you.
Most reviews are tainted anyway. You know, if the top number one trainer in the world, well, it's usually ran by the certification program. Like NASM they used to have that. I'm NASM certified, and they used to have that. You know, the number one trainer in the nation, you know, top 10. Well, they were all NASM trainers. So.
Yeah.
Rich Gaspari, that's a name I haven't heard in a long time. I mean, I grew up. Rich Gaspari was competing back in my day too. So yeah, and Ronnie Coleman's been around a long time. People don't understand. He's an older guy. Because he was around when Sean Ray was around. It's interesting to hear these names that I grew up with who are now basically considered the experts of bodybuilding and physique now. I'm trying to think of all the names. Labrada, he was competing. Yeah, I mean, all those guys. Sean, what was it?
Sean Ray. Kevin Levrone. Yeah, he's actually was a mentor of mine and just really gave me some confidence this year going into these shows. You know, I hadn't won a show yet, and I was, you know, having a hard time trying to get motivated to win something where a panel of judges were in control. And so I always had the mentality, just go in my best, train the hardest, don't be outworked, don't lose in the diet battle every single day, you know, don't cheat on my food. And so, you know, but Kevin is a good, you know, advocate for bodybuilding, and because he's done a lot of different things. Yeah. And so he was with my company Gear Nutra. And so, yeah, I respect Kevin a lot. Sean Ray actually has a show this weekend. It's probably going on right now or tomorrow in Maryland. I posed the guy right here on Skype for that show. So
that's awesome. Yeah, tell us a little bit about where people can find you. Like, I know you have an Instagram page, Instagram.com, Jason Poston Pro. Is there other places like what? Do you have a website yet? Are you working on one? Or
yeah. I'm not big on the name websites. I've had it and actually took it down. You know, I'm in this whole fitness industry for everyone. You know, my thing is none of us are as strong as all of us. You know, I want to help change the world just through, you know, everything that I've succeeded in and everything that I've learned. But so I have teaminfernofit.com.
Okay.
Team Inferno Fit is basically a personal training and online training website. You can just go and purchase your plans with one of my 5 coaches. You know, my goal is to have an online trainer or a personal trainer for every population of people. You know, right now I've got 2 very educated, very successful females, Charlene and Christina. I've got one of the top bodybuilders in the world right now in the 212 division, Aaron Clark. Me and Aaron are both Gear Nutra sponsored athletes. We both won the New York Pro, which was huge. We didn't expect to win it. We're both sitting there after prejudging, and we're like, well, it looks like second place. You know, we weren't sure, and we're sitting there eating our little cheat meal after prejudging, and then I think somebody came up and, you know, gave us some words of encouragement, and we kind of like smacked each other like, you know what, we could still win this. You never know. So we both were not from New York. And we went to New York and we both won. And, you know, that side note, I know I got off track, but that was just such a great moment. New York it's a huge, huge venue for bodybuilding. It's the biggest venue besides the Arnold Classic coming up here in March. But so Team Inferno, man, we're really doing a lot of transformations and having a lot of success just helping people, you know, with the paleo diet. You know, all my trainers have different philosophies, but you know, I'm definitely a big advocate for promoting the low carb, high fiber, high protein paleo, gluten-free lifestyle, because it just works for me. All the guys that you'll see on my Instagram or on the Inferno Instagram or the Facebook page, they're all dialed in, shredded, lean, muscular, and the girls too, on a low-carb lifestyle. Every now and then, I'll get someone who just really needs intake a higher carbohydrate diet, and we'll do that. But for the most part, you'll see, 50 to 150 grams of carbs a day, with my weight program to build the body. That's exactly what you're seeing is, stuff that they promote on this show, guys, right here with Heath and Gary, this, paleo food, I've got.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's, I've flavored it the way I like. I'm mixing it. It's only been 1 week using the protein, and I'm using that with the egg whites.
Awesome.
And the egg white protein. And you know what? I'm not having any issues like I normally do with a lot of the other whey proteins you see on the market. And I really love the fact that there's no artificial sweeteners in it. So
2 ingredients, you really can't go wrong with that beef protein or the egg protein. I just wanted to make it clean because so many of the egg proteins give you gas and stuff like that, and you have to deal with all this other junk they're throwing in there. And I just wanted to make it really clean. And I'm glad somebody like yourself can really appreciate it because, you're exactly my demographic. So.
Yeah. No, I've been absorbing it well. My body absorbs egg albumin, egg whites really well. I do probably more than the average person, 10 eggs, mostly egg whites in the morning, and then also do 9 to 10 egg whites at night. And, people will complain about the gassiness and stuff like that. I don't have that issue. And so replacing it with that paleo pure egg white powder is definitely convenient. And then when I want to, crave, when I have the sweet tooth craving, I can sweeten it up and make the paleo pancakes, add some extra egg white protein or, and the Greek yogurt. So it's been great, man.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on our show. We really appreciate it. And I wish you the best of luck at Mr. Olympia competition. When is that airing? Do you know?
Well, it will air in October, but the show is September 19th. I'll compete on a Friday, exactly 6 weeks from when we're airing this. And, I encourage you guys to watch when it airs on NBC. Check out what the physique division is all about. Check out all the divisions. And, it's something that, you can take it. Anybody can take a little bit from the sport of bodybuilding and apply it to their life. The dedication, the lifestyle, waking up and having to do everything absolutely perfect. It's not just about how you look up there. It's totally trained me to just overall be a harder working, more dedicated man, and a better just CEO and a better, fitness model. Everything in my life has improved from being dedicated to my diet. And there will be a day when, I'm done. I'm going to eat a lot more of these awesome paleo brownie treats that have a little bit of junk food out there too. But if you can learn a little bit from the bodybuilding industry and the Ifbb, I recommend that it's the dedication and the work ethic that these athletes have. It's incredible.
Yeah, I can imagine the discipline is incredible, and it really takes a strong, decision to eat the way you eat and work out the way you eat and work out so hard. So I hear you. It was definitely a huge decision on my part. I lost about 35 pounds, and it was you have to be mentally ready to commit. So.
Yep. Discipline, big time. That I think Jason hit it on the head. It's about discipline, and being a former military and law enforcement guy, it's pounded in our heads about discipline. And bodybuilding actually is a part of that. I tell anyone who gets into the lifestyle that I don't teach them it's not just about your body. We're changing your health, but you're going to be a different person. It's going to change everything in your life. And they get it about partway through because they realize, I got to wake up, I got to get out there, I got to move, I got to continue to do this process. I can't do some 2-week juice cleanse and then call it a day and then go back to my normal life. So,
Well, thank you so much, Jason, for coming on. I will definitely have to follow up with you after the Mr. Olympia show, and I wish you the best of luck, and we'll definitely be talking to you very soon.
Awesome.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
Jason.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
Thanks, Jason.